Ah, what's up, everybody? Check this out. First of all, this is your boy Ella, and I want to say thank you guys for joining the stream live. I will be mixing a song live for Gospel Multitracks. I am the other founder that happens to mix all of the songs coming from GMT on the site. So I will be going through a mix from scratch. So that means this video will be very detailed. And for those of you that are looking at this archive, this video at a later time, you might want to pop some popcorn or something and sit back, relax, and we're gonna go through some things. This video gonna be pretty long, and but I'm gonna try to get through it as quick as possible. But I want to make sure that everybody understand what's going on and how to get your kick not to fight with the bass, and how to get your snare to pop, you know what I'm saying, and what to put on your toms, and what happens, with the piano, and how to make that pop and sound great in the mix. So we'll be diving in right here in the moment. Again, I am your boy Ella from ksound.com, and this is a live mix. Earlier was just crazy, but we're not going to talk about what happened in the past. We're going to keep it moving. For those of you that are watching me live now, you already know what it is and what happened, and I appreciate you guys for sticking around with me during the test. It was a test. It was only a test. All right, so Sean, what's up, man? Success. Gospel Multitracks is in the house. You guys check us out, gospelmultitracks.com. This it will be available on the site as soon as I'm done with the mix. I did a mix several times, a couple of times on this channel, showing you guys my approach to the mix. I am not the best mix engineer in the world, but I'm gonna show you my approach. And if first, I was gonna say first of all, I've already said quite a bit. Another thing that I want to note to you guys, I have on headphones. I am not in my studio environment. I don't have my my speakers available for for the mix, referencing my mix. I do not suggest that. But if you're in a situation where you only have headphones to reference from, then you gotta do what you gotta do. I've been doing it for quite some time, so I kind of know what to look for, what I'm listening for. So just so some of you guys that are critiquing me based on my environment, you know. So I have on headphones, and that's pretty much how everything will be addressed through headphones at the moment. So it can be done. I actually refer open back headphones, which I have on its way pretty shortly. Open back headphones are the best for mixing if you're going to use headphones. All right, so let's dive in. Everything is looking good. I hope my voice is synced up. I'm not really sure what you guys, but as long as you can hear me, I'm not really focused on that. What's good, Sean? I said what's good, Sean, before. You said something else again to me. That's what's up. Song will be available soon. All right, so the name of the song is I Am by Jonathan Nelson. All right. And this is a fresh session that was sent to me by Mr. John Mike, which is the other founder. And we're going to take a look at what's going on in this session here. So basically, let's see. I kind of started to take a dab in there right quick just to see what was going on, but I did not start the mix. I waited on you guys. So this is the original mix. I'm not going to play that. So we have drums that's already in the folder, packed away. We got bass. We have an organ here. We have a piano, strings. Then we have acoustic, which most likely is the guitar. Then we have our electric guitar. Here's the loop. We can start moving stuff around now. I want the loop right there. Here's our bells, and here's our lead synth. All right. So it's not that much going on in this session, as you can see. So I like to just bring everything down like usual. You guys seen me do this before. And let's play something. Let's make sure we can hear. All right, so I can't hear. So we're gonna make sure that I can hear. Okay. All right. So I'm thinking you guys should already hear because I can see a signal coming in from my source. But you just never know. You gotta check, make sure everybody can hear. Jason Nelson. I'm sorry. I said Jonathan Nelson. I'm Jason Nelson. This song is by Jason and I almost said Jason, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure, so I just said a name that I thought was safe. Uh all right, all right. So usually what I like to do is focus on the drums first. That's what I usually do. I focus on the drums. So I'm gonna give the drums a little color, cause I'm a colorful person. I just you gotta be able to distinguish everything from each other, and that's just the way I like to do things. Let's see. Let's give it a nice orange. Yeah, that'll work. All right, so we're gonna go to first of all. Let's deactivate this here, just so when I click on something, it will follow that. So I have presets that I like to go with, but I'm gonna explain pretty much everything to you. And some of you guys, I don't know if you guys experienced this inside of Studio One, but like when you open up a new session, it likes to route the inputs to somewhere other than none, and I don't really care for that. Um, Sometimes that creates problems, so I just make sure that all of my inputs are done as far as inputs because we're not recording anything right now. So we're gonna move my hats down here and on time 1, 2, 3. Let's go ahead and label everything the way that I like to label everything. So we got drums, we got kick. That was the kick sub. And this is the kick right here. And let's rearrange that. Kick sub. This is the hi-hat. This is the snare. Let's bring that over here. That was the snare bottom. This is snare top. My hat. I like my overheads. After my last time, and then here's my room. So we can go right quick and say snare bottom, snare top. This is my hat. This is T1, T2, T3, my overhead left, and my overhead right. And this is my room right and my room left. And I'm gonna switch that around like that. And while we at it, we might as well just label the rest of them bass. And all we doing is renaming them, but we capitalizing those because that's how it needs to be on the site. Everything needs to be capitalized. Acoustic, guitar. I guess I could say e-guitar. I could change it later. Somebody change the letter. Lead synth. And I believe that's it. All right, so we labeled everything. And like I said, this is a very small session. So this shouldn't take that long. It just really depends on what plugins we're using. Yeah, we can hear cool. They both brothers. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I'm just checking in on the questions and things just in case someone has something from me. All right, so let's click here so that I can gain access to my inserts here. And so, all right, so the drums is what we start off with, and kick and drums is going to be the thing after I click this. All right, so I'm hearing a lot of room. So what I'm gonna do is bring down my overhead and mute my toms, because I only want to hear my kick. And all right, so first off, we're gonna go for effects. We're gonna go for API, my mono, put on my kick, and then we're gonna start off with a preset. One of the kick presets in this API plugin here. We're gonna say load drums. We're gonna start off with bass 1. Okay. I'm just trying to see which one sounds better to me. I like the bass drum too, and we can all right, there's too much mids in there. I like it right there. And the APIs is warm to me. I like the API stuff. So I'm gonna go for a EQ, a stock EQ, and kind of carve out the middles just a little bit more, because it's giving me too much. Let's bypass. Activate. Right there. There's a frequency right there that sounds nasty. We're gonna trim that down. Right there. We're gonna take it out. Yep. And I can bring that back in because I thought it was, there we go. So that's what you do with an EQ. You kind of find the treble frequencies and you carve it out. Let me show y'all. Deactivate it, or bypass, unbypass. You guys probably need headphones on in order to hear that difference. But let's move on. Some people say you don't mix with you don't solo when mixing. Well, in this situation you do. And I solo when I mix because I need to hear what's going on or whatever and clean it up, because once you bounce this stuff down, you're gonna definitely hear the frequencies, especially with gospel multi-tracks, when these tracks are more so stems. So if you don't need drums, you're gonna take drums out. Vice versa, if you need drums, then all of these feedback, um, I'm sorry, the notifications keep popping in, throwing me off. Maybe I need to shut down my Chrome. Only my Chrome does that. All right, just so y'all won't be seeing all the notifications all in the way, trying to show y'all something. Here comes somebody, hey man, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? All right, so that's the kick. Let's see what the I hate that. Let's see what the kick sub is doing. More than likely, the sub is doing the same thing, but not necessarily. But and your kick sub is more so like your bassy. Right? We're gonna go for a transient master on the sub, just so it can punch. Let's go for the punch preset. All right, I like my switch that around. All right, now my snare bottom's gonna be the snary. All right. So what I like to do here is add a 76 on my snare. All right. So now my hats. I'm gonna just drag this EQ here, and then just go to default. Just kind of brighten it up a little bit. Let's go to where the hi-hats should be. All right, let's go back. Let's mute that. Now, sometimes it you know, I'm hearing the hats in the snare, and sometimes it's a little challenge trying to EQ the hats because they are coming through the snare drum. So you want to be careful when you're carving out the snare drum, you know, carving out the hats in the snare drum channel, that you don't, you know, carve out the meat of the snare. So that's what we're going to try to do here. I'm not going to do too much to it. Just bring it down just a tad bit. Actually, in most cases, you will kind of brighten it up too, because all right. I'm sorry, I'm new to this. What is gain stage? Gain stage is pretty much bringing all of your levels down, you know what I mean? Just kind of leveling everything below the unity gain, just so you have room enough to do whatever you need to do. That's really the gist of it. That's really all it is. Gain staging. Because you don't want anything peaking. All right, so now I'm experiencing more issues. Let's change my my Soundflower buffer beat. See what happens. All right, so now let's work on our toms. Because usually that's the problem sometimes. All right, here's a tom right here. Now, I like to use the JJ. Where is it? Where is my tom? I was just going to say drums. The JJ plugin is what sort of bring out the toms just a little bit. It is like a presence on them. Now, when bringing up, you know, anytime you bring in a new plugin, you kind of increasing the volume, and with that, you're increasing the floor noise as well. So, what you got to do is you got to carve that stuff out again. And I told y'all I'm going through this stuff like one by one. This is detailed. Y'all should have popped some popcorn or something. All right. Now, check this out. Let's see right there. So, like, the kick was creating. Actually, this might be up here. Ty- uh, typically, it tends to be like wherever the tom is hitting the hardest, because that's the frequency the kick comes through as well. So, like, right, I think right there. We're gonna turn on this low pass. I'm sorry, the low cut, high pass filter. Now, because the tom and the kick is in the same frequency, try not to cut too much. All right, I should have told the drum to keep playing. just stop when he want to. Oh, keep playing. It's hard to find this one. Right there. All right, next time. All right. This is one of those slow songs where it's not time heavy, so it's harder to find. Now the second time is cool. Not picking up. Yeah, that one sounds good. Now another method is you can go like hit like you can hit your tab key to tap the transient like that, but we don't have the time to do that, so we're just gonna try to. There we go. That's a better. Kind of, yeah. So now all the time together. Now there's a ring and a snare. We're gonna try to get that out. Right up in there. Actually, and then the best way to try to kill these frequencies is to hum it out. I don't know what it is today. You want to be careful not to kill too much of the meat. I had most of it. right up in here somewhere. Getting that. Oh man, what is going on? Maybe boost the buffer. I don't know. I'm looking at these comments right quick. What's going on here? What is the best SO3 factory plugin to mix with for drums? That's hard to answer, but I'll say waves are great. What I'm using now, the EQ4 S13 sounds good. Same with the comp. Need to gain stage those tracks before you mix. Using the VU meter, it make the overall mixing at the end sound better. All right. I believe that's it right there. And I'm just gonna trim it some just so I won't get a gunk of it, you know. I don't know what it is today. First the stream messing up, and now I can't find the frequency. It's like right there. But once I bring it down, all right, let's go. Let's come back to that. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on that. I cannot find. I have to spend a little more time on that. It's usually in that area, but for some reason, just remove that. It's usually there we go. I just found it. I just found it. Let's replace this. I still hear it a little bit. Deactivate. It's still there, but I got most of it out. All right. Now this is bothering me. There we go. So I found it immediately. Took a while, but you know. There we go. See, and I made it, you know, like a little dip halfway. I didn't want to kill too much because that's still the time there. All right. For my overhead. Now my overhead, for the overhead, you really, it's really only picking up the the cymbals. That's really what it's doing right there. And so I'm just gonna add some shine to it. Wait, let's pin this first so I can. And usually the drums is the most intricate part of the mix. And in some cases, I'll replace drums just to make it sound fatter or the attack better because it's a lot of it was too much background noise or whatever the case may be. The tone of the drum itself is not what I'm looking for that would make the mix pop. So I'll end up replacing. I'm not doing that right now. We're just trying to get an overall mix with what we got because it sounds pretty good to me so far. Probably having the most problem because I don't have my monitors because I usually do. Okay. Just trying to get a little shine in there. Maybe we can put the room in there a little bit. Now, for this particular um song, because everything needs to be stemmed out and the way Studio One works is if I was to bust this out to a reverb channel, when we get to bouncing everything out as stems, the reverb will not come with it. So what I have to end up doing is actually sending each channel that I want to send to it to a keep doing that. Let's add a bus. It wants to it's I have to send everything to a bus. All right, so this is going to be my drum bus. Drum bus. And because we got a room there, like room tracks, a couple of room tracks in the drum mix already. I really don't need this, but just to give it a little bit of depth, I'm gonna go ahead and add a reverb here. And usually I would like to go with the 48 RC48. Yeah, and the way that I mix the reverb is by the send. I'll mess around with the sends. Still hear the ring a little bit. let's change. Turn it. So all I'm doing is just dragging each of them, and I never put a reverb on my kick. Let's go for the overhead, and I'm not gonna touch the room. I'll leave that there. So let's hear it. Turn the overall down. All right, so let's put a compressor on this kick so it can knock a little harder. And I'm trying to debate which one I want to use. Do I want to use the stock? We can. Let's see. Right. Now let's add the bass in there. Now for the bass, I will use, let's see, bass, wait. Let's see. That effect. I think it's the no, it's an amp. That's what it is. I'm looking. Okay, it's an amp. By Waves. I love using this. The amp. I believe it's this one, and this never fails me. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Which one is it? Thunder amp. I think this is it. Was it the super? Yeah. All right, so sounding great, and I'll use a 76 on top of that as well. And I'll go for the bass preset. with the organ sounds good already. Okay, I'm listening to something. So that time one was too loud. All right, so I usually I would also add a reverb to. I'll just add a regular room reverb to the loop sometimes. Just kind of open it up a little bit. Yeah, perfect. No, you know. And then sometimes I'll put a EQ on the loop as well, because sometimes it brings in a low frequency that it doesn't need. Like, let's see. See, there's something down here that we don't need for just this loop, because there's no bass drums coming through it. So we can cut that. That's all we need. And that's just to free up some of the low end, you know? All right, so the kick is not sounding supreme to me. So if I can't get the kick to sound great, like I want it, like I envision it, I will also put a JJ on that as well, and I'll kind of go between those two, between this and the other plugins that I have already on here. So we're gonna just go to. I'm thinking, okay, with the settings right there so far. Sounds good. Okay. I'm not really sure what I'm hearing. And the toms need to come out just a tad bit more. So this is going to be. And again, guys, this is my approach, you know? I explained this at the beginning of the video, that I'm not the best mix engineer that you've probably seen, but when you know what you want to hear, you kind of go after that, you know what I'm saying? And I have presets that I've used, but I kind of wanted to just break down, you know, everything from scratch or whatever. The snare is not, it's not doing nothing for me right now, so I may need to. And it's more so, I'm thinking it's the bottom snare that needs to come out. I'm not gonna touch the preset. I'm just gonna go here and see what happens. There we go. But we run the risk of boosting the mids, where we were trying to. And what if we do this? And I don't want to do that either, because that'll be way too much. You know what I'm saying? This is one of those things where I go back and forth, because it boosted the hi-hat. But let's get everything else in here, and then we'll come back to it and kind of like do like an overall listening to everything. All right. This is the way I like to mix. I like to just bring everything in slowly. You know, that's just my process. Now, I'm going to tell y'all what I'm going to do. We're going to add a 76 to that as well. Absolutely. Boom. 76 is what does wonders. I'm telling y'all. Acoustic. Let's with it off. Put it on. To me, it just makes it sound fatter with the compression. It might be too much on it though. Let's see. All right, there sounds good to me. All right, so again, I don't put all of these plugins on on one channel, but but maybe I'm hearing the ringing from the bleed on the other mics. I had the snare soloed, and that's where that's what I was hearing. I was responding to something coming from the comment, but the reason I'm going back to what I was saying. See, I remember the reason why I'm putting all these plugins on one channel is because, keep in mind, each of this has to be bounced down separately, and it would be cool if Studio One was to implement bus. So if I send something to a bus, like by sends, if I give a channel a little send to a certain bus, if I export everything out, it will be awesome if Studio One can bounce down that channel along with the send. Like maybe there could be an option in there that says activate sends or something like that. With send, bounce with sends. That means however much I send to a certain bus, it'll come with that effect as well. So if there's a way, maybe somebody can show me how that goes, but I'm not aware of how that goes. So far, what it does is if I export everything, it will bounce down the effects channel as well with just the reverb or whatever is on that channel, and that will be separate. But in the case of using this as stems inside of like how gospel multitracks use their stems, having a separate reverb channel is not going to work, because what if I have little drums, keyboard, and strings going to that same reverb send, and for instance, that customer doesn't need drums. Well, they're gonna still hear a little drums in the reverb scene, and so that's what's gonna create that problem. So I have to reroute the drum bus back into the drums, as you guys just see me do just now. So I have to reroute it so that it comes out with that reverb sound on there, which is what I have to do in this case. And my acoustic, if I want reverb on my acoustic, I have to, put it on itself, on the channel itself. In this case, I'm going to add the replica because the replica is my friend. Replica loves me. And so therefore, we're going to add that on there individually. Let's play and see how that sounds. Let's go to 160. Same situation here. Let's deactivate that. That's the guitar dry down with the plugins. Now, now this is where the problem starts. Now this is in a situation like this. Let's see, what is this? Okay, that's acoustic. That's guitar. That's sounds distorted to me. Okay, so we're gonna yeah. Actually, those are doing the same thing. So we're gonna like that, and then okay, start. Okay. So right here, we're going to cut right there. And we're going to cut right here, because I believe that's the acoustic right here. Yep. This is acoustic. And that's acoustic. No, it's not. It is electric. Well, distorted. All right. So this is distorted. So we got that. And we're going to select this one as well. And we're going to select this. And we're going to come below here and just bring these down. And this is going to be your electric guitar. And this is going to be a rhythm guitar. Sound like a rhythm guitar. Or it can be acoustic too, or it could be electric, but not just, you know what? No. I did that all wrong. This is going to be your distort. That's how we're going to do that. And I'll fix the stuff later. But the reason being, see, sometimes guitar players will do that. They got their switch there, and they'll switch between acoustic, rhythm, or whatever, and then they'll switch right into distortion. Well, those need to be on two separate channels, which is not a problem. I can clean it up here. It's not a big deal. It's just you can't put the same EQ settings and things like that, because they are essentially two different. You got one of them that's screaming at you, which is distortion, and then you got one that's more so quiet. So you got to treat them still a little bit different, a little differently. So in the event where you're doing stuff like this, you can just take the edge of it and put a fader on the edge. I'll put one here, and I can actually curve this fader just like that. And I could bring this closer in if I want to and just curve it, just so it'll sound a little nice when it comes out. And then sometimes guitars create this feedback in the beginning. So we're gonna go here and create a curve here as well. And same for between, but I think it sounds clean because I don't see. Yeah, it's a straight line, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm just worried about where I cut more so than anything, because it was going to create the clicks and pops, because I'm sure the guitars are transitioning between each other. So we want to make sure that we create a fade between there, and we can bring this back some, just a tad bit. At this point, I'm just reading the wave forms here. I can see what's going on. And sometimes you don't want to be too sure that you know what I'm saying? You always want to listen, because sometimes there could be some things going on that's real low and you not know what's going on because, you didn't listen back. But in this case, I know that there's nothing going on here. I don't have to do that. I would usually do that, but I'm not going to take that and cut that, and he's just going to leave that like that, like it is, because John did an awesome job cleaning. Don't worry about that. Take that, like that, and like that. Or I could have select several of them at the same time and put it in and beginning and ending fade, and been done with it. It's either or. So I'm gonna come right here and we're gonna play that back. And with the guitar, I like to also create a chorus. Is what does a nice little trick to it. Um, by little micro shift here. There we go. So on the guitar, I'm gonna create a chorus here, and we're gonna kind of just dial back just a tad bit because by default, little micro shift will have it like dead in the mix somewhere. Yeah, all the way wet. So we're gonna dial back some. Yeah. All we need is just a tad bit. Yeah, which all we need is just a little bit, just so you can notice a little difference, but not too much. And that's for like stuff like that. And yeah, let's add a little more. So now we get into the distortion. All right, so we're gonna change the settings for the replica for the distorted guitar so it can sing a little bit more. So we're gonna play it from right here. So I'm gonna change the to 1/8 here. Right. All right. Let's see. I heard something. Okay, well. Ah, I didn't catch that acoustic part right there. So this is another acoustic part. So this is acoustic here. Yeah. All right. So this part right here can be moved up. And I want to make sure that I'm not messing with the. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually do that. That's just so I can stay on the grid. So what I did was I cut it right here at the edge just so I can stay on the grid. I cut it by the grid, as you can see. And then what I'm going to do here is extend it out and then put a fade on it. So when you move and stuff, sometimes like if your cut is in the middle somewhere and you don't want to, risk nudging it here and there, you might just need to cut it somewhere where you know it's on a grid, and then bring it up, because all of the regions are non-destructive. You can always bring them back. Just like here, I'm finna pull this back right there and then put a fade on the end. So that way, I didn't really cut anything. So that's a little trick for you in case you didn't know that. So we're going to put a fade here as well. So, all right. So let's see how that sounds. Now, it did sound like it was cut. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this fade in a little bit more. This wasn't the error on my end, but this is one of those things as an engineer you have to fix just in case. And if it's fixable, this is something I can do. Let's see. So the fade is a little bit too harsh. So we're going to curve it some, just a little bit. That's a little bit better. Okay. So we're going to increase this fade on the end here, and we're going to just put a curve on it. Sounds a lot better to me. Sounds a little better. Because at first it didn't sound, it sounded like it was cut even before I got to it. I'm going to bring this fade in just a little bit more because I heard a little bit of the clip. There we go. There we go. All right, it's electric, clean tone, not acoustic. I got you. All right, bro, I know you're mixing, but how do you like Personas overall, and how long you've been using it? I think I'm going to switch from Cubase. And have you thought of getting a Slate Raven, do all the editing you can do by hand? I need to read all of these comments. Gospel Tracks talking to me, and I know he was, putting some correction where it need to be, and I need to read up on this stuff. I just been going. But just to answer your question, I love Studio One. I've been using Studio One for a little bit over a year now, and yes, I thought about it, and it was just a thought about using the Raven, but I never, that thought has never left my brain. It never went into the process of me even thinking to put money together to even like put in motion the idea of actually purchasing that. I just never thought about doing that. And I've seen several videos. It just, how when you see stuff, it's a lot of awesome and great things out here, but it's like, I don't think I need it. I don't need to have everything that's out. I'm good with what I have. You know what I'm saying? Only thing I'm looking to get now is the probably a 18, maybe an 18, or I don't know, either 18 or 24 channel mix board by Personas. The newest one I got, I believe, is the AI. I can't remember the model number, but it's the newest one. It's the Studio Live joint. It's the newer version, and that's all I've been thinking about getting. That's what I will purchase. Just to, I like to be hands on as far as mix board. Now, screen wise, if I need more screen real estate, I'll just buy a bigger screen. And that's pretty much it. Like I don't know. I don't want to be in the mixture of what I really feel about the Raven. I don't feel like it's for me. So Gospel Multitracks, for this one track here. So I guess you can label that the good the clean one, the clean one. Where is it? The clean tone. Should I label that as clean tone? Wait. Okay, that's acoustic. This one, this one is the clean tone. This one's the electric. I think I'm caught up. Electric. Electric guitar. Actually, I want to like. I like to do it this way. Like label all my guitars as guitar first, and then acoustic, electric, distort, everything after that way. Like in the files, it'll be all together. Like you can find all of your guitars. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense to you? I spelled this all wrong. Probably won't find that one. Acoustic. You know what I'm saying? So guitar acoustic will be first. Guitar distort will probably be next. And then a guitar electric will come after that. That way all your guitars will be in one section. And that's my reason for doing that. All right, let's go ahead and save that. And let's reactivate this SoundFlower. I hate SoundFlower, I'm telling y'all. Let's see. This is the lead synth. All right, so the lead synth is more like a Moog sound. We're just playing the lead part on the Moog bass. So a lot of times the Moog lead will probably fight with the lower frequency here. So we're going to add a EQ here, and we're gonna low cut. Keep saying low pass. The low cuts. So electric acoustic. Yeah, I figure that. I figure he used. Yeah, it's cool. Cubase is perfect, but so is Personas. Just depends on workflow you like. You said something there, Sean Brockman. That's very important. That's very important. As a matter of fact, very very important. I want everyone to keep that in mind. It just depends on your workflow and what you like better. So hopefully you guys watching me mix inside of Studio One, you've made your decision as to if this is something you see yourself purchasing, working with, or whatnot. This being something that can work with your workflow. And as far as Cubase, you will have to go and search for those videos of other people working inside of Cubase, and you can do the comparison and see which one you would rather go with. You know what I'm saying? For me, I've seen several DAWs. I started out in Pro Tools, then I went to Logic Pro. I dabbled around in GarageBand just for playing. You know what I mean? It was like a backup, in case I can't get to Logic or whatever. I played around with Reason. Reason is pretty dope. But when it comes to mixing and things like that, like serious production for right now, I think that's more so me saying like for like getting serious and something really quick is Studio One for me right now. I don't know how to work Reason fully, but once I learn Reason, or if I ever get to it, then I'm sure my workflow will speed up, and then Reason will be dope. I heard Reason several times. I have a few buddies that work out of Reason. Reason is dope, but I just prefer to mix inside of Studio One because I can get to my VSTs, my third party plugins, and that's probably going to be what it would be like for a long time because Reason does not support third party plugins. So I think Reason is just great for like music production. You can mix in there, perhaps there are some really cool things you can do using those plugins to a mix like that. But I just, right now I prefer Studio One at the moment. All right, so I have a question for you, Mr. John Mike. Now, when packing everything up, the guitars, because they are different, do you want me to pack them together as guitars, or do you want to leave them individual? That way people can have, I mean, I'm looking at 23 tracks, but I guess if I subtract, depending on how many drums it is, it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if I subtract 11 from that, so if it's 23 now, we're really at 13, 14. We have 14 tracks. So how many tracks does the Prime support? I thought it was 8. Maybe it's, I don't know. Separate. Okay. I'll keep them separate. Keep them separate. Killing in Sonar, Mixcraft. Yeah. Again, it just depends. Some people got it going on. I know there's one mix engineer that does everything in Sonar, and he mixed for A1 artists, and his mix be on point. I prefer Studio One. It's just preference based, All right, so it's time to boost these drums up. You already know what's finna happen. So I'm going to go with the Kramer, and a lot of times I like to go with that stuff after the fact. I'll come back and bring it and kind of boost the drums because it gives me a fresher. Because if I add all this stuff on it now, it you know what I'm saying? It gives me a fresher approach. I'll mix the drums, then bring in everything else, and then come back and add all this other goodness. Now it's sounding pretty fat. All right, so we're gonna add this 3A, and the 3A adds it adds volume. That's the thing. It adds volume. Because something adds volume, which most plugins do, does not necessarily mean that it's doing anything to your mix. I want to make that clear. But this 3A happens to be compressing a little bit. You can kind of see it in the meters. So it's compressing a little bit, and the volume definitely came up. So that's when I come and just bring it down a little bit here. And what I also like to do is, because I was having an issue with the mids and things or whatever, I can do like a I forget the term, but I can do like an overall drum mix here, EQ wise, kind of brighten it up here. Now my piano gonna need reverb on there. We're gonna need some air. Sound a little dry. Just a little bit, just a little bit, you know. But the piano sound good the way it is. Cause I would add a chorus to the piano some just to like widen it a little bit. But it sounds pretty good. It sounds like it's got a chorus on it even right now. Sounds good. The length is too long. Okay. Personas is it for me though? I love the workflow, seriously stable. Whatever gets you from point A to B is best. Will be the inspiration flowing. Yeah. Yeah. I love Studio One. Getting the job done. It's got like a little spring sound to it, so we're gonna switch like a church or something like that. Let's see what that sounds like. And the reason why my Studio One right now is it seems a little slow because I got so many stuff going on, and as you guys already know, all of the the back and forth and the testing and all that type of thing, everything is coming from my laptop, and I don't have an SSD internal drive in here, which I need to do. Sounds good. All right, let's visit these strings. Let's see what's going on. If it sounds good, don't mess with it, right? That's the rule of thumb here. It sounds good to me. Ain't no sense to add any more plugins to this. Sounds good. Now for the drums. Let's see. Okay. Now for the drums, zoom in a little bit more. For the drums, let's cut that. We're gonna analyze this here, and we're gonna add a rim shot if I am allowed to, because my CPU is already like screaming at me right now. That's because I got so many plugins. I don't usually do that. You know what I'm saying? All right, so for man, which one is it? Detection. No, I don't want to do sensitive standard. So what it's gonna do here is analyzing the snare right here, and I'm gonna add another rim shot from somewhere else just to kind of. Okay, so let's listen to this. Okay. All right, so we need to turn our threshold up. Okay, maybe I should have went sensitive. Let's go sensitive. Let's analyze it. So sensitive will work when in situations like this, and we're just gonna dial back on our threshold. So here we go. So the idea here is to get all of the rim shots. So right there, gonna dial back on our threshold because there's no rim shot right there. All right, and then sometimes you can take your bend tool and delete stuff. Like this is not a rim shot. This is a take that and delete that. Rim shot. All right. Okay. And this is the last one here. I want to take that and delete that. All right. So the next step is to take this here. First, I have to add a new instrument track here. And we're going to say 1. Pick auto color, whatever. And then we're going to just take this and drag it down. Now, what Studio One did was it created MIDI notes for my rim shot here. And all I'm gonna do here is go to a instrument, which is impact, and we're gonna replace whatever it was right there. And then I'm gonna go to my loop section and look for a rim shot somewhere in here. I like that. And we're gonna bring it here. And let's go for mono. We're gonna make it mono. And I'm gonna go inside of this instrument here. This is a B0. B0. So I'll need to bring everything down. And you can see the pads corresponding with it. So check this out. Okay, the first one is no. Wait, get the first one. All right. Uh-oh. I turned my threshold down too far down, or maybe I deleted that. But all I'm gonna do here is just grab that just right quick. And the only reason why I'm doing this is because I missed that threshold. I mean the whatever. There we go. Perfect. But it's all about where you set your threshold and what you delete. Now for this sound, I actually want to change the pitch. We're gonna tune it higher. Yeah. And then we're gonna just bounce this in place. And I can get rid of the instrument itself because the instrument also eating at some of my CPU as well. So I only want to deal with the audio. Yeah, this will be up for replay. Absolutely. As soon as I'm done with this, probably later on tonight, like late tonight, because YouTube takes a while for everything to like upload fully. But this YouTube stream will be fully available from start to finish. No problem. No problem whatsoever. All right, so we just bounced in place, and I'm just gonna take this and remove track and instrument. So it's gonna do the job for me. One click, boom, it's done. We got our replacement here. There we go. What we did there, ladies and gentlemen, is we just replaced a rim shot there. And usually, sometimes what I'll do is I'll boost that section. I'll cut that section in half, or separate it. You know what I mean? Cut it where you know what I'm saying? And then I'll like kind of do like a gain um boost for that one little section. and so that that can come out a little bit more. But in the event of everything we just experienced, listening to the drums, I didn't necessarily want to boost that one section right there, because then you start hearing the other background stuff. So I wanted to be more so clean, because the snare drum is picking up the entire drum kit. You know what I'm saying? So, in order to make it the clean, I had to replace or double. I didn't necessarily do drum replacement. I doubled the drums, because if I replace it, I would have just cut it out or whatever. So I just double it and just add on top of it and add it there, bounce in place right there, and so now it's more so enhanced. So now you can hit a rim shot. Now, what I'm gonna do here, I need to bring the bass up just a tad bit more, but we're gonna turn everything else down. We're gonna grab everything and bring everything down like. All right. So we got everything sounding good. And so on my mix channel, I love this mix console that the Persona's implemented. It's right here. Let's turn it on. There we go. Talking between each channel. So now, you know what I mean? That's, it's like an analog board. So I'll add that on the end. Sometimes I won't. It just really depends. And again, I'll add the Kramer, because the Kramer is a tape plug-in. Love the Kramer. I just love how I can type in my whatever I'm looking for and just drag it in. Boom, I'm done with that. I brag to everybody with that. That's a bragging right, I guess. Now, my mix is acting the fool right now because I am pretty much at max. Yeah, I'm at 100%. Now, again, the only reason why I'm at 100% now, well, this is what I could do. I forgot. I didn't even think about this. I could go to my already at 124 samples. Let's boost it. Let's boost my buffer size. Now the reason why I'm kind of capping is I got a bunch of plugins on almost every channel, and this Mac is only 8 gigs. Yeah, it's only about 8 gigs that I can push for memory. My iMac is 16 gigs, so that can handle a lot more. And something else about this thing. Oh, I got my camera connected, streaming live through OBS and YouTube. It's a lot going on. So, you know, the yeah, it's there's a lot going on. So that's the reason why it's at 100 right now. But if I can get I guess I wouldn't add the because the last thing I would add on here will be uh ozone. Okay. I think I'm back. For a second I cut out. Appreciate that, John Mike, for alerting me about that because I didn't know I cut out. Um, hope you guys can still see me. No, it's probably lagging by now. If it wasn't before, hard to believe that it wasn't lagging the whole way through. But I'm pretty much at the end of the mix anyway, so um, you stop streaming too. Okay, it's kind of going in and out now. Okay, it did stop. All right. Let's okay, you guys can see me now. First of all, I like to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out and hanging out with me this long. It's been a very long stream, but I was hoping to show you guys the process of mixing, or my process of mixing inside of Studio One 3. And I have many processes that I go through. Like this is not a certain way that I mix all the time. I have all types of things that I'll attack first. Sometimes I'll go for the piano first. Sometimes I'll go for the vocals first if there's vocals. There wasn't any vocals in this particular session, so um we were just mixing purely instruments, acoustic instruments, and the song was slow. So okay, so it looked like my stream is good. You guys should be seeing me. Hopefully. I look choppy. Okay, I look really choppy, like things just fell apart. Probably reaching that threshold. Yeah, now I'm saying my stream is bad. All right, let's I'm gonna show you guys, like, dang, I'm looking at my and them JJ plugs eats a lot. I want y'all to see this. Looking at my CPU here, I noticed that um you can see 22, 21, 19, and this is all of the JJ plugs. But you know what I could have did? What I could have did was I could have added to the region itself. That's what I should have did. And you can do that. You know, I could have added to the region and not the actual channel itself, and rendered the audio right away instead of having it as a and then doing it like that is almost like freezing the plugin in a sense, because you can always retrieve it back if you need to, if you need to go back. But I didn't do that. Sometimes I do that. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just max out my buffer speed here, just so I can get past this. Maybe when I begin to max out my buffer, you guys, um, start seeing issues. Yeah, it's a little. Yeah, it's a little lag, Jerry. I apologize. Okay. Is really terrible. But one last thing I wanted to add, and I bet you guys, as soon as I end the stream, this is when um things are gonna slow down. I probably should have never added that because it's probably gonna crash by now because I'm already at 100. But if it go, then that would be awesome. I'm shocked that it didn't crash after I add that. But I'm just letting y'all know it may crash. But this is a mastering plugin that I love using. Ozone is just to get your levels like as hot as possible without it bleeding. I mean, yeah, without it bleeding over zero. And I typically love putting the stereo imaging on, and this is what I'll do. So I guess I'll show you guys what I would do before this thing crash. So I'll do like a step down or a stare up type effect here. And depending on how how everything sounds as far as the low end or whatever, mids, highs, I will go in, I'll turn on my dynamic, and this is more so your multi-band compressor. And I'll go in and tighten up the kick, tighten up the low end or whatever, and make it punch a little bit more harder. I'll do that through the dynamic section here. That's how I would do that. I'm gonna play this thing, and we're gonna see what happens. All right, y'all ready? Ah, it's playing, but it's glitching. It's glitching really bad. Um, I just I just wish there was a way I can freeze the plugins while where they are now. Now that's one thing that Logic Pro was able to do. I was able to freeze the plugins on the spot. So maybe there's a way to do that, like render all of the plugins some kind of way. That would be pretty cool if Studio One can do that. But I'm not really sure if it can do that. Um, Perhaps I can close out some things in the background.